and design the life you want. Please don't forget to subscribe to the show on Apple.
I had this podcast on the other one, but it got rubbed out. Only does one at a time. Anyway, this is the one. Then the news.
Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts, because we share at least 2 wonderful episodes every week. Accounting firms suggest AI could add nearly $16 trillion of value to the global economy by 2030. That sounds like a huge number, right? Let me put it in context. 16 trillion for AI. The global marketplace for defense and military spending, 2.5 trillion. So this is enormous. If you're sitting there thinking, I want a slice of that, this is the podcast for you. Before I get into it, this episode of the Australian Finance Podcast is proudly brought to you by BetaShares, one of Australia's leading ETF providers. And as it turns out,
I'm going to prove it to you.
With around 140 trucks, fuel...
This is falling apart.
All right.
It will tell us and it will answer some of the...
Stop. Don't do that. Stop.
The Good Guys has epic deals on now. This LG 75-inch TV, $1,995. This
World's most elusive.
You see it?
He's huge. And dangerous creatures.
Seeing animals like this is absolutely incredible. Oh, she's so muscly.
Well, you gotta
I'm
watch.
getting up close and personal
Gotta
with the
watch
animals,
it.
no matter how
Gotta
deadly
watch
they
it.
are.
Gotta watch it.
Dr. Anne's Secret Lives starts Tuesday, July 15 on ABC TV and ABC iView.
Good evening. It's Wednesday, the 25th of June. Here are our top stories. The Israel-Iran ceasefire appears to hold as the White House dismisses leaked intelligence that casts doubt on the damage done by US strikes. The US president reassures NATO leaders about mutual defense as they meet at a summit in The Hague. A relative unknown defeats a former governor in the Democrat race to run for New York's next mayor. And recyclers in Colombia call for better conditions by flooding a town square with plastic. You're watching The World.
No. We want video. No, we want home. Financial report. You need these ones. Okay.
The chance of a rate cut in July, on July the 8th to be precise, is back at 90%, so virtually certain according to the futures market punters. And that's after the monthly consumer price index came in at 2.1% in May, less than the market expected, but more importantly, less than the Reserve Bank expected, which was 2.4%, as shown in this graph. Actually, the RBA doesn't forecast the monthly data, only the quarterly CPI, but that now looks like being under its forecast as well. So, a ray of sunshine in dark, uncertain days, further brightened by the falling oil price, down another 1.2% last night, although nobody's counting on the current ceasefire turning into long-term stability in the Middle East, feeling being that Donald Trump's F-bomb was correct. The other effect of bombs going off in the Middle East is that no one is talking about tariffs anymore, and they're quietly increasing government revenue in the US, so far without increasing inflation. So the US share market had another solid session last night, and Asian markets mostly went up today as well. The local market was flat. Little Aussie drone killing business, Drone Shield, was a standout after signing 3 European military contracts for more than $60 million, which was its largest ever deal. And Commonwealth Bank went above $190 for the first time today. It's been one of the best performing investment assets in the world this year, rising more than everything except gold. And gold doesn't pay a dividend, unlike CBA, which paid $2.25 in February for an unbelievable 6-month return of 26%. And finally, the Aussie dollar is steady tonight at around 65 US cents. And that's finance.
Thank you. What's the other one? What am I doing? What's that? What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? Checking out my videos. Okay. Out, 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 out. What's this one? Video, out, 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 out.
Get a massive 120 gigs for just $35 every renewal for 12 renewals.
Amazing!
Really important, I think, for military planners around the world to realize that your security doesn't just stop at the border, but really needs to be spread to all the facilities.
Does the recent example of Ukraine's stunning use of drones against billions of dollars worth of Russian bombers show how asymmetric warfare is already a new battlefield?
It 100% does. If you look at the cost of those drones, they are $500 drones destroying billions of dollars of expensive military equipment. And interestingly, it also mixes the idea of asymmetric warfare itself, of the technology, with how it's actually deployed. So you had a deception tactic of those drones delivered to the edge of the airfields deep inside of Russia and then deployed on a moment's notice, essentially. And that is also really important, I think, for military planners around the world to realize that your security doesn't just stop at the border, but really needs to be spread to all the facilities, and lessons for Australia there as well.
What has the illustration of that technology in that war, the Russia-Ukraine war, meant for the manufacturers of drones and autonomous systems already? How much is this sector now worth?
Well, the sector will be worth many billions of dollars. So we're seeing drones as the new king of the battlefield. In Ukraine, we're seeing more tanks destroyed by drones than dedicated.
We're with them all the way. I mean, if you take a look. We're with them all the way. I mean, if you, we're with them all the way. I mean, if you take a look at the numbers, we're with them, and they have very big things to announce today. I don't know if you've taken the vote or you're going to take the vote, but I've been asking them to go up to 5% for a number of years, and they're going up to 5%, and that's a big, from 2%. And a lot of people didn't even pay the 2%. So I think that's going to be very big news. NATO is going to become very strong with us. And I appreciate doing it. Perhaps you want to talk.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me first, before I go to the spending, I just want to recognize your decisive action on Iran.
Thank you.
You are a man of strength.
Yeah, they were saying good things, very good things, really good things, fantastic good things. They were saying very good things, fantastic good things, magnificent, beautiful, very nice.
You're also a man of peace. And the fact that you are now also successful in getting this ceasefire done between Israel and Iran, I really want to commend you for that.
Thank you very much.
And I think this is important for the whole
And you were fantastic to the maximum, fantastic. Listen and reply, I'm intimate sector.
world. Then on spending, it's absolutely true. I want to state here, without President Trump, this would not have happened. In 3 stages. When you became president in 2016, 2017, you forced Europeans and Canadians to pay more. At this moment, result of...
When data comes at you fast, come up with answers even faster. SAS Via.
Mastering your trading landscape can be challenging. As a trader, to reach new...
This moment, result of that phase is 1 trillion extra aggregate defense spending by the Canadians and the Europeans. Then came phase 2, when you became president in January last year. Phase 2 is that all the countries not yet on 2% have now committed to the 2%. This is the old goal from Wales in 2014. 7 were not on 2%. Some were saying somewhere in the 2030s. Now this year, all of them, including Canada, including Italy, including Belgium, they have all now committed to the 2%. And now comes the big splash. Today, we will decide to go to 5%. We have to keep ourselves safe from our adversaries, but also because it is fair to equalize with the United States. With this 5%, the Europeans and the Canadians will equalize their defense spending with the United States. So this is not about American taxpayers paying more. This is about Europeans, Canadians paying more. And again, this would not have happened. I'm really saying this here. And some people might criticize me, but then when I speak with them, they all say, yes, you're right. This would not have happened if you would not have been elected in 2016 and re-elected last year and back into office in January. So I want to thank you.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great victory for everybody, I think. And we will be equalized very shortly, and that's the way it has to be. It's going to be a lot of money, too, a lot of defense.
Trillions extra.
Yeah, and we have a great relationship, and we've had a great relationship from the beginning. Highly respected man, and yeah, we appreciate you being here too, everybody. We really do. We have a tremendous group of people on my left and a tremendous group of people on my right. They might be even better than my people. I know. Let's have a fight. Let's figure it out. Anyway, but we appreciate it, and we've had a tremendous relationship, Mark and I, and we've really worked on this subject for a long time. And when Biden was here, it just died like everything else died. And now it's you're going to take, I guess, a vote today, right?
Absolutely. Today we will decide unanimously to do this. That's my absolute conviction.
So we can't talk about it until the vote's taken, because sometimes strange things happen with those. But I think you're going to.
I'm not too worried.
I think you're going to do very well. Everyone's very happy about it. Go ahead. Yes,
Mr. President. How is the Iran-Israel ceasefire going, in your opinion?
I think very good. Israel came back yesterday. I was so proud of them. Because they came back, they went out because they felt it was a violation. And technically they were right, but it just wouldn't have worked out very well. And they brought the planes back. They had gone on to another journey because there was a little bit of a violation. And I said, you got to get them back. and they came back, and it was a great thing, and it's going very well.
Mr. President, what are your sort of response to the foreign minister saying he still wants to enrich nuclear?
Hello, Katie. She's so great, this one. Any question she asks, I'll answer. Well, maybe I better not say that. What was your question?
What is your response to the Iranian foreign minister continuing to say Iran will enrich uranium and pursue nuclear weapons?
What?
We fucked it. Completely fucked it. I'm about to cry, man. Fucked it again. He's fucking up, man. Iran.
Lawsuit challenges billions of dollars in Trump admin's funding cuts. World News.
Shit, this has to be in English.
Business Standard. The lawsuit filed in Boston is asking a judge to...
Oh, shit.
Lawsuit challenges billions of dollars in Trump admin's funding cuts. World News. Business Standard. The lawsuit filed in Boston is asking a judge to limit the Trump administration from relying on an obscure clause in the federal regulation to cut grants that don't align with its priorities. Attorneys general from more than 20 states and Washington, D.C., filed a federal lawsuit Tuesday challenging billions of dollars in funding cuts made by the Trump administration that would fund everything from crime prevention to food security to scientific research. The lawsuit filed in Boston is asking a judge to limit the Trump administration from relying on an obscure clause in the federal regulation to cut grants that don't align with its priorities. Since January, the lawsuit argues that the administration has used that clause to cancel entire programs and thousands of grants that had been previously awarded to states and grantees. Defendants' decision to invoke the clause to terminate grants based on changed agency priorities is unlawful several times over, the plaintiffs argued. The rulemaking history of the clause makes plain that the Office of Management and Budget intended for the clause to permit terminations in only limited circumstances and provides no support for a broad power to terminate grants on a whim based on newly identified agency priorities. The lawsuit argues the Trump administration has used the clause for the basis of a slash-and-burn campaign to cut federal grants. Defendants have terminated thousands of grant awards made to plaintiffs, pulling the rug out from under the states and taking away critical federal funding on which states and their residents rely for essential programs, the lawsuit added. The White House's Office of Management and Budget did not immediately respond to a request made Tuesday afternoon for comment. Rhode Island Attorney General Narana said this lawsuit was just one of several the coalition of mostly Democratic states have filed over funding cuts. For the most part, they have largely succeeded in a string of legal victories to temporarily halt cuts. This one, though, may be the broadest challenge to those funding cuts. It's no secret that this president has gone to great lengths to intercept federal funding to the states. But what may be lesser known is how the Trump administration is attempting to justify their unlawful actions, Narana said in a statement. Nearly every lawsuit this coalition of Democratic attorneys general has filed against the administration is related to its unlawful and flagrant attempts to rob Americans of basic programs and services upon which they rely. Most often, this comes in the form of illegal federal funding cuts, which the administration attempts to justify via a so-called agency priorities clause. Connecticut Attorney General William Tong said the lawsuit aimed to stop funding cuts he described as indiscriminate and illegal. There is no because I don't like you, or because I don't feel like it anymore, defunding clause in federal law that allows the president to bypass Congress on a whim, Tong said in a statement. Since his first minutes in office, Trump has unilaterally defunded our police, our schools, our healthcare, and more. He can't do that, and that's why over and over again we have blocked him in court and won back our funding. In Massachusetts, Attorney General Andrea Campbell said the U.S. Department of Agriculture terminated $11 million United States dollars agreement with the State Department of Agricultural Resources connecting hundreds of farmers to hundreds of food distribution sites, while the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency terminated a $1 United States dollar million grant to the State Department of Public Health to reduce asthma triggers in low-income communities. We cannot stand idly by while this president continues to launch unprecedented, unlawful attacks on Massachusetts, residents, institutions, and economy. Campbell said in a statement. The lawsuit argues that the OM promulgated the use of the clause in question to justify the cuts. The clause in question, according to the lawsuit, refers to 5 words that say federal agents can terminate grants if the award no longer effectuates the program goals or agency priorities. The Trump administration has claimed that 5 words in this clause no longer effectuates agency priorities or provide federal agencies with virtually unfettered authority to withhold federal funding anytime they no longer wish to support the programs for which Congress has appropriated funding, the lawsuit said. Only the headline and picture of this report may have been reworked by the Business Standard staff. The rest of the content is auto-generated from a syndicated feed. Subscribe to Business Standard Digital and get complimentary access to the New York Times. Subscribe. Renews automatically. Cancel anytime. Here's what's included in our digital subscription plans. Access to exclusive premium stories online. Adani Total Gas, GOBP tie-up to offer petrol, diesel, CNG at fuel outlets. Company News, Business Standard. Under the strategic alliance, ATGL fuel stations will retail GOBP's high-performance petrol and diesel, while GOBP outlets will host ATGL's CNG dispensing units within its geographical areas. Adani Total Gas Limited, ATGL, and GOBP have entered a strategic partnership to jointly retail their respective fuels across select outlets, marking a significant expansion in India's fuel and mobility infrastructure. As part of this collaboration, select ATGL fuel stations will offer GOBP's high-performance liquid fuels such as petrol and diesel. In turn, select GOBP outlets will host ATGL's CNG dispensing units within ATGL's authorized geographical areas, Adani Total Gas Limited said in an exchange filing. ATGL, a joint venture between Adani Group and French major Total Energies, is a leading city gas distribution company in India. It supplies natural gas to households, commercial establishments, and industries, while also catering to motorists. ATGL's energy offerings extend to compressed biogas, EV charging solutions, and LNG for the transportation sector. Also read, Adani Group to invest $100 billion, targets 100 gigawatts total power capacity by 2030. GOBP is a joint venture between Reliance Industries Limited and global energy giant British Petroleum (BP). It is a prominent mobility solutions provider with a strong network in fuel retailing, alternative low-carbon energy products, and convenience stores. Sarthik Bahuria, chairman of GOBP, emphasized the shared goals of the collaboration, saying that they were united by a common vision to offer customers high-quality fuels. This partnership allows us to leverage each other's strengths to further enhance the value we provide to India, Bahuria said. Echoing similar sentiments, Suresh P. Manglani, Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer of Adani Total Gas Limited said, "It is our shared vision to provide complete range of high-quality fuels at our outlets. This partnership will enable us to leverage each other's infrastructure, thus enhancing customer experience and offerings." Agreement covers current, future fuel stations. The partnership will span both existing and upcoming retail fuel outlets of the two companies. ATGL currently operates approximately 650 CNG stations, while GOBP has a retail network of nearly 2,000 fuel stations. This collaboration marks a significant step forward for both entities in their journey towards sustainable, customer-centric growth and innovation in India's energy and mobility sector. ATGL currently holds authorization to supply Pung and CNG in 34 gas, while its joint venture with Indian Oil, IOAGPL, adds another 19. This takes the company's total reach to 53 gas across 125 districts. It has also set up subsidiaries for biomass and electric mobility businesses, reinforcing its transition towards sustainable energy. Subscribe to Business Standard Digital and get complimentary access to the New York Times. Subscribe. Renews automatically. Cancel anytime. Here's what's in. Access to exclusive premium stories. Over 30 behind the paywall. Complimentary access to the New York news, games, cooking. Google agrees to pay $28 million in racial bias lawsuit. Google has agreed to pay $28 million, £21.5 million, to settle a lawsuit that claimed white and Asian employees were given better pay and career opportunities than workers from other ethnic backgrounds, a law firm representing claimants says. The technology giant confirmed it had reached a resolution, but rejected the allegations made against it. The case filed in 2021 by former Google employee, Anna Cantu, said workers from Hispanic, Latino, Native American and other backgrounds started on lower salaries and job levels than their white and Asian counterparts. The settlement has been given preliminary approval by Judge Charles Adams of the Santa Clara County Superior Court in California. The case brought by Ms. Cantu against Google relied on a leaked internal document, which allegedly showed that employees from some ethnic backgrounds reported lower compensation for similar work. The practice of basing starting pay and job level on prior salaries reinforced historical race and ethnicity-based disparities, according to Ms. Cantu's lawyers. The class action lawsuit was filed for at least 6,632 people who were employed by Google between the 15th of February 2018 and the 31st of December 2024. According to Reuters news agency. Kathy Coble, one of the lawyers representing them, praised the bravery of both the diverse and ally Googlers who self-reported their pay and leaked the data to the media. Suspected pay inequity is too easily concealed without this kind of collective action from employees, Ms. Coble added. The technology giant denied that it had discriminated against any of its employees. We reached a resolution, but continue to disagree with the allegations that we treated anyone differently, and remain committed to paying, hiring, and leveling all employees fairly, a Google spokesperson told the BBC. Earlier this year, Google joined a growing list of U.S. firms that are abandoning commitments to principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) in their recruitment policies. Meta, Amazon, Pepsi, McDonald's, Walmart and others have also rolled back their DEI programs. It comes as U.S. President Donald Trump and his allies have regularly attacked DEI policies. Since his return to the White House, Trump has ordered government agencies and their contractors to eliminate such initiatives. The tech giants use AI, but is it any good? BBC Weather. Tech giants unleash AI on weather forecasts. Are they any good? A wave of machine learning weather models have been unleashed by some of the very biggest businesses on the planet. These challenge the orthodoxy of traditional physics-based computer forecasts that have been incrementally developed and improved over many decades. But are the machine learning models any good? The weather is a national obsession for us Brits, and it is no wonder given the huge changes that are seen and felt from one day to the next. Accurate weather forecasts are not just vital for planning our daily lives, but knowing about upcoming severe weather can help us to change our behavior, save lives and mitigate damage to property. It is impossible to assess the full economic value of weather forecasts globally, but the numbers are huge. According to NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, in the U.S. alone, and just taking into account the biggest weather disasters that caused over $1 billion, £740 million, in damage, the fallout from severe weather in 2024 amounted to $182 billion, with 568 fatalities. Since 1980, this damage figure stands at nearly $3 trillion. Meanwhile, in the UK, there were 1,311 excess deaths caused by heatwaves in 2024. A study from consultants, external, London Economics, concluded that the Met Office would bring £56 billion of benefits to the UK economy over the course of a decade through providing meteorological services. Multiply these kinds of numbers across the whole world, with a growing population exposed to increasingly extreme weather fueled by climate change. And weather is big business. The biggest computers on the planet. Traditional weather forecasts are produced on some of the biggest supercomputers on the planet. The Met Office supercomputing contract is worth £1.2 billion. That huge sum of money buys you a machine that can perform 60 quadrillion calculations per second. Running a model containing the understood physics, with over 1 million lines of code and using 215 billion weather observations. Global weather models work by crunching the numbers in a grid of boxes right around the planet. The size or resolution of these boxes varies across different meteorological models, but range between about 10 square kilometers to 28 square kilometers, 3.86 square miles to 10.81 square miles. At this kind of resolution they cannot accurately predict showers, while mountain ranges are lower and smoother than in the real world. The highest resolution model from the Met Office, the UKV, the model that runs BBC TV graphics for the first 48 hours, can predict showers with its incredible 1.5 kilometers, 0.9 mile resolution, but it takes so much computing time and power that this model is not able to forecast for the entire world. Instead it concentrates on the UK and Europe. Machine learning weather models, are they any good? Machine learning weather models have only been around for a few years, showing promise as they develop rapidly. Traditional models take hours to run on hugely expensive supercomputers, however this new breed of models can take less than a minute to run on a standard laptop. They don't need to know all the burdensome laws of physics, but are instead trained on 40 years of past data to make their predictions. How do they perform? Well, let's look at forecast verification data from ECMWF, European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecasting for atmospheric pressure patterns in winter. 2024-2025, external. GraphCast, Google AIFS, ECMWF, and Aurora Microsoft were more accurate than the traditional IFS ECMWF benchmark forecast. Whereas ForecastNet, NVIDIA, and Pengu Weather Huawei trailed behind. So some of the machine learning models performed better, and some worse, but it depends on which variable you look at. And all of this could change quickly as the rate of progress accelerates. Just like traditional models, AI models are less accurate the further ahead in the future they're trying to predict, a consequence of the chaotic nature of the atmosphere. Looking 10 days ahead, none of the AI models or traditional models were able to offer forecasts considered to be of much use in terms of accuracy. So is it time to walk away from physics-based weather models? Not yet. Machine learning weather models are not only trained using data produced by traditional weather models, but they also use the start position of the atmosphere from traditional models as their input point. In other words, without those traditional models running, the machine learning models wouldn't work as well. All machine learning models can forecast large-scale features like high and low pressure 6 days ahead very well. But they can underperform compared to traditional models at smaller scales of 1,000 kilometers or less. This means that important features like troughs and ridges could be missed, which would make the difference between a dry day or a day with heavy rain. The majority of machine learning models have a resolution of 28 square kilometers, which is the same scale as the data that they've trained on. This means small features like showers would most likely be missed, so they wouldn't be able to forecast a Boss Castle flood event many days ahead. News headlines have claimed that these new models are better than traditional models at predicting hurricanes. It may be true that some have been a little better at predicting the landfall of hurricanes ahead of traditional models. But at the same time they have been very poor at predicting the wind strength and therefore the likely damage the storm would bring. This may be the result of the smoothing, or averaging effect of looking at lots of hurricanes in the 40 years of training data. AI models may struggle to forecast effects from rare events that have not been seen often in the 40 years of training data. An example of this is the 1991 eruption of Mount Pinatubo that cooled the planet down by up to 0.5 C for 2 years. There are also questions about how well AI models will forecast in a warmer world as our planet continues to heat up as a result of climate change. The past climate that they've trained on will look quite different to our future climate, as greenhouse gases continue to accumulate in the atmosphere. So, where will we be in 5 years' time? I think we'll have traditional models running alongside AI models so that we are drawing on their combined strengths to enable hyper-localized accurate forecasts, delivered fast, when you need them, says Professor Kirstine Dale, Chief AI Officer at the Met Office. Machine learning models haven't been around for very long, but with their speed, computer efficiency and rapid rate of development, they show great potential. Gemini AI video generator powered by VO3. Break the silence with VO3. Create high-quality, 8-second videos with VO3, our latest AI video generator. Try it with a Google AI Pro plan or get the highest access with the Ultra plan. Simply describe what you have in mind and watch your ideas come to life with native audio generation. Try VO. Dream it. Describe it. Done. For exploring. Play with diverse styles, bring animated characters to life, and combine objects in ways you never thought possible. See what you can create. For sharing. Create funny memes, turn inside jokes into videos, reimagine special moments, and add a personal touch to make someone smile. For brainstorming, break through creative blocks and visualize your ideas in a flash. From product concepts and designs to rapid prototyping and storytelling, Gemini can help. Learn more about our VO models. VO3 Fast. Create videos with sound using our video generation model that maintains high quality while optimizing for speed. High quality, optimized for speed. VO3. Create high quality, 8-second videos with sound using our state-of-the-art video generation model. State-of-the-art video quality. Frequently asked questions. Yes, you can create and share videos in your mobile Gemini app. To create videos, tap the Video button in your prompt bar. If you don't see it, tap the button with 3 dots to view more options. Try VO3 Fast with a Google AI Pro plan or get the highest access to VO3 in Google AI Ultra, available in 70+ countries. VO2 is available in countries where VO3 models are not available. We've taken several important safety steps to make AI video generation a safe experience. This includes extensive red teaming and evaluation aimed at preventing the generation of content that violates our policies. Additionally, all videos generated with VO in the Gemini app are marked with a visible watermark and synth ID, a digital watermark embedded in each frame, which indicates the videos are AI generated. Gemini's outputs are primarily determined by user prompts, and like any generative AI tool, there may be instances where it generates content that some individuals find objectionable. We'll continue to listen to your feedback through the thumbs up, down buttons and make ongoing improvements. For more details, you can read about our approach on our website. Results for illustrative purposes and may vary. Internet and subscription for certain features required. Available to users 18+. Create responsibly. How do you get daily updates about current events, art, simple living? Honestly, I don't. I have enough personal connections both online and offline that I know I'll hear about important things through the grapevine. Every week or two, I'll go and catch up on important events, and for activism and high priority topics, I sign up for individual newsletter. I'm not convinced that being plugged in on a daily basis is necessary, even to important world events. I'll probably tune in more when local and countrywide elections get closer, but in the meantime, if it's true on Monday, it'll still be true on Friday. And if not, then I didn't need to hear it on Monday. How do you get daily updates about current events, art, simple living? Honestly, I don't. I have enough personal connections both online and offline that I know I'll hear about important things through the grapevine. How do you get daily updates about current events, art, simple living? Honestly, I don't. I have enough personal connections both online and offline that I know I'll hear about important things through the grapevine. Every week or two, I'll go and catch up on important events, and for activism and high priority topics, I sign up for individual newsletter. I'm not convinced that being plugged in on a daily basis is necessary, even to important world events. I'll probably tune in more when local and countrywide elections get closer, but in the meantime, if it's true on Monday, it'll still be true on Friday.
Oh yeah, I had either way. And then
Leading ETF providers, and as it turns out, a provider of ETFs that invest in companies that have an AI and technology focus. Stay tuned as you learn more about ETFs and how to invest in them for that AI boost. In June 2025, NVIDIA became the world's largest company by market capitalization. Over $3 trillion is what NVIDIA is worth just by itself. NVIDIA is the world's leading designer and creator of GPUs, those little things that go inside those massive server farms that help ChatGPT respond to you quick and accurately. Think about just like ETFs in that way as well. But if we think about ETFs, there's probably two approaches that you can take. Number one is you can go for an ETF that's quite broad and captures a lot of different companies inside it. Probably the most popular one here in Australia for this type of thing is the NDQ ETF. That's ASX NDQ. It's the BetaShares NASDAQ 100 ETF, and it invests in 100 companies listed on the NASDAQ stock exchange. I'm thinking of companies like Microsoft, Google, Apple, Nvidia.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Microsoft, Google, or how you get into other companies because you got the email or you got the the app, and the app can make your business go to Facebook or some incredible thing like that. And what's going on around the world, bruh?
These types of businesses. Take, for example, Microsoft, also one of the world's largest companies. That is around about a 50% shareholder in OpenAI, the creator of ChatGPT, and arguably probably the first innovator in this field. I love it when companies go from becoming a noun or a name to a verb. One of the good ones to think about is, remember when you used to say, just Google it? Why don't you just Google it?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, YouTube, Facebook. Yeah, why don't you... Fuck you.
In Australia, you might have said, why don't you just afterpay it when you were paying in 4 installments? Now people are saying, well, just ChatGPT it. And people find answers to all of the questions that they would previously use Google for. So many of them are now coming through ChatGPT. So already we've seen this massive shift. And by investing in a broad-based ETF like NDQ, you can get exposure to the biggest companies in the world, and in particular, many of the technology companies that are leading the world. Of course, in the NASDAQ 100 ETF, you also get things like Costco, which is an absolutely wonderful business, one of my favorite businesses on the planet. But it's not necessarily something that you think of when you think of AI. I'll come back to that in a minute. Another approach is to use a really targeted exposure to a particular industry. There are many ETFs here in Australia that use both AI as a focus, but also technology, because technology companies will also benefit from AI, generally speaking. Let's take, for example, the GlobalX FANG Plus ETF. This is one of the most popular ETFs from GlobalX, and this ETF just invests in the top 10 companies that happen to be Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google, all of those businesses from yesteryear, plus a few more. They are massive technology companies. And what we've seen in recent years is all of the big technology platforms. Think of companies like Google with its GCP, Microsoft with Azure, Amazon with AWS, and so many other businesses that dominate the cloud computing space. What they've actually been doing over the past 10 to 20 years is something very unique as it relates to AI. In order for you to ask ChatGPT to do something for you, a query or a message has to be sent to a cloud computing server that runs all the algorithms that then sends you a response. So the cloud computing that sits behind the scenes is pivotal. Inside of that, we have all of the technology from NVIDIA and so many other businesses that feed into creating the cloud computing or the server farms that are required to process the AI. We're taking a quick break to share a message about PocketSmith, one of our wonderful partners on the show. PocketSmith is a customizable personal finance management tool that helps you be the best CFO for your household. Get on top of your finances, understand where your money is going and forecast ahead. Track your net worth up to 60 years into the future and reach your money goals. If you're ready to manage your money like a pro, PocketSmith have a special deal for you. Get 50% off your first 2 months of PocketSmith's foundation plan by heading to pocketsmith.com/rask or click the link in the show notes. Let's get back to the show. But what's really interesting is if you think about companies like Amazon, Microsoft, Google, even Alibaba, these types of businesses, what they've done over the past 10 years is invested tens of billions of dollars, if not hundreds of billions of dollars, into building out their cloud computing infrastructure. They call them hyperscalers around the world. And these are the big cloud computing server farms that make all of your internet usage possible. And what has actually been happening, and the strategy behind this, is that by investing in infrastructure like that, these companies are saying, we don't know what the next big innovation is going to be. But what we do know for sure is they're all going to need cloud computing and massive processing power. And indeed, things like ChatGPT, even DeepSeek in China, or Gemini, Facebook or Meta's Llama, or even Grok require loads and loads and loads of cloud computing. So by investing in something like NDQ, which gets you the top 100, or FANG, which gets you the top 10, you're going to get a lot of those types of businesses in that mix because they are the biggest companies in the world anyway. So you're going to get exposure. This is good news if you don't want to go and sift through all the different types of ETFs. If you own the S&P 500 ETF, which is IVV from iShares, or if you own, say, for example, VGS from Vanguard, you're going to get all that mushed in there as well. But let's say, for example, you want a more pure focus. You want to invest in just the companies that are really focused on technology. There are ETFs just for that. Even here in Australia, there are technology ETFs like ATEC from BetaShares, which targets just technology companies. They're not necessarily cloud companies. They're companies that are using the cloud to make their servers and AI more efficient across their entire business. So they stand to benefit. It's kind of like investing in the picks and shovels in a gold rush rather than the gold mine, which might be Nvidia, for example. So trying to invest in those businesses that benefit from that. Another way you can do it is you can use ETFs with those specific focus. So there are two that I'd like to call out right now, which is AINF from GlobalX and GXAI. AINF is trying to find companies that just provide the infrastructure for the AI global marketplace. So if you're trying to find companies that create the cloud computing and create all of the bits and pieces that connect all of the infrastructure that make AI possible, that's an ETF that does that. And then there's GXAI, which is just a broad-based artificial intelligence ETF. Now, obviously, these ETFs have product disclosure statements that I'd encourage you to go and check out. And for disclosure, GlobalX does sponsor our Australian Investors podcast. When it comes to really targeted focused thematic ETFs or even rules-based ETFs, I prefer to keep them in my satellite exposure and off to the side. So that would be smaller allocations, whereas something like an NDQ, even an ATEC, maybe even a FANG could go in the core portfolios, maybe a slightly larger position. Also really interesting is an ETF called HACK, which is one of the most popular thematic ETFs from BetaShares. HACK is an ETF that targets cybersecurity companies. Now, this ETF, just to be quick on it, if it's investing in cybersecurity, you've got to think about this. This is like 2 steps away from AI. You've got the things that create AI, then the use cases for AI, and then you've got the thing that defends against AI. This ETF is the most popular cybersecurity ETF in Australia, and one of the big emerging threats from AI is AI itself. People are spooked that AI could be used for traditional viruses, malware, hacking, and so many other cybersecurity threats around the world. We've seen this just in the last 2 or 3 years here in Australia with massive privacy breaches, companies like Medibank and Optus and so on and so forth. Companies now, everywhere around the world, use technology. That means they have a responsibility to protect their systems and critical infrastructure. And the companies that do that can be found inside the HACK ETF. So it's a really interesting way to get exposure to the AI thematic without going all the way down into really niche focus. So let's just summarize this bit here. AI, massive opportunity for investors. There is a lot of hype in the system. I don't think it's like a cryptocurrency craze from like 5 years ago. I think it's bigger than that. I think the companies are real. There are a lot of fake companies that aren't really doing AI but try and convince you that they are. If you're in doubt, you're going to get exposure to these great companies through really broad, low-cost ETFs anyway. If you want to be more targeted, you could go into the more niche, kind of thematic or rules-based ETFs that target these types of companies specifically. And finally, of course, you can own individual shares, which give you an opportunity to buy the companies. But obviously, that's higher risk, takes a lot more work, a lot more mental energy. So if you do that, again, maybe that's a satellite position for you. I want to mention a few other things to look for in the ETFs before you go investing like crazy in AI. Number 1, stay diversified. Even though AI may be a huge thing, every company in the world stands to benefit. But by racing in and just investing in one thing, that's a huge risk. It might not work out. You might invest in something that is more hype than actual reality. A good example of this is there were dozens of search engines in the late 90s and early 2000s. It just so happens that Google ended up eating 80% of the market. There were dozens. So you might not have got it right. Cast a wider net. And then once you know, you can zoom in on the ones that are winning. But that may take a few years. So stay diversified. That's probably the single best way to get exposure to AI. Stay diversified. Number 2, don't forget the fees associated with ETFs. ETFs charge something called a management expense ratio, or MER. It's the fee that it's like invisible because it's taken out every day from the ETF, and it covers the cost of providing that ETF. Obviously, most people want a fee that's lower. If you're using thematic ETFs, you can expect to pay fees closer to 0.5%, 0.6%. If you're using a broad-based ETF, you're probably going to be looking anywhere from like 0.2% or below even in some cases. So just keep that in the back of your mind. You end up paying more for the more niche style of ETFs. Another thing is most of the AI investing that people are doing right now is investing in the United States ETFs. So these are ETFs that you get here in Australia on the Australian stock market that then invest your money overseas for you. There are a few risks that come with that. Number 1 is there may be rule changes between the Australian tax office, say for example, and the US IRS. That is underway at the moment. There's been some rule changes around, or there's proposed rule changes at the time of recording around taxation of foreign investors into the United States. Another thing to keep in mind with that is that you may, your returns may be impacted by currency movements. The difference in the Australian dollar to US dollar over time does fluctuate, so that can create risks. Once again, be sure to refer to the PDSs. The final thing that I'll touch on again is to make sure that when you're building a portfolio that you blend ETFs together. So I've mentioned a few ETFs in this podcast that I own or that we own at Rask. Number 1 is the IVV ETF. Number 2 is the ATEC ETF from BetaShares. We also own another ETF from Vanguard called VAS, which is just the Australian shares ETF. Now, I love the sound of these other ETFs. I love HACK, NDQ, FANG. I like all of these types of ETFs. I would blend them with a vanilla broad-based ETF or ETFs, I should say, and maybe also some other different types of ETFs, so fixed income or bond ETFs. You can find out the full range of ETFs that we own on the Rask website. It's all there for full transparency. But blending them together is the secret. It's not about finding the one ETF to rule them all. It's about how do you put them together in a portfolio. The good news is, as a long-term investor, you are going to benefit so much from AI. You're going to benefit if you're an ETF investor, if you've got superannuation, maybe even in your career, if you use your skills and you sharpen your skills, you might be able to charge 2, 3, 4 times as much as you do at the moment, just because you know how to use AI to your advantage. So see this as a massive opportunity for you. And if I haven't hit the mark with any of these things, let me know. Use the comments on YouTube or on Spotify or even in the Rask community. What other ETFs allow you to get this exposure? Which shares are the ones that you should be focusing on? We've done other videos on which shares to look at in 2025 and 2026. Using ETFs allows you to invest in this amazing, disruptive force that's coming, which is AI, without trying to pick individual stocks the whole way through. This allows you to be diversified, do it low cost, and really enjoy your investing in the satellite predominantly of your portfolio and kind of take advantage of the future. If you're looking for more literature on this, there's a great book I would recommend called The Guerrilla Game, Investing in High Technology. It actually was released around the time of the dot-com boom and then the dot-com bust, and it teaches you how to find the types of companies that would allow you to capture the AI race as well. Tony Robbins in his book once said, and this has always stuck with me, which is, when you invest via the stock market, you become an owner of the economy rather than a consumer of the economy. If you sit back and you let AI take your job without investing in your skills, or you don't invest money now in the companies that are changing the world, you will fall behind. By investing, even if it's a small amount every week, month, or year, in yourself and in your career and in your portfolio, you are going to take advantage of everything that comes from the AI revolution. Go out there, invest with optimism, be cautiously optimistic, be prudent, but take advantage of this massive opportunity that's in front of you right now. I'm Owen Rask. If you want to get in contact with me, be sure to use the comments or jump over into the Rask community. It's free and we'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Australian Finance Podcast. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Australian Finance Podcast. Don't forget that any of the information you hear in a Rask podcast is strictly limited to general financial information only. It's not personalised financial advice, so always speak to a financial planner before you act on the information. You can find financial planners on the Rask website. Another thing that you should take note of is our FSG, or Financial Services Guide, that's also available at rask.com.au/FSG. If you want to continue your educational journey, don't forget that we have loads of free courses available on our websites. Simply type in Rask courses in Google and they'll come up for you. Finally, the best compliment you can give to us isn't a review in Spotify, Apple, or anywhere you listen to this podcast. The best thing you can do is help us change someone's life. Don't forget to share this episode with a friend or a family member who you think it can help. That's the biggest compliment you can give to us. As always, thanks for listening to this Rask podcast.
Don't have it that way. Chupare, chupare, chupara. Oh, chupare, chupara. Come on. Let me do it. Don't do it.
SBS Audio is supported by advertising.
You're listening to SBS.
% decline yesterday. Ricardo has been speaking to Yu Yi from Blackmore Capital about why investors are keeping calm despite those tensions in the Middle East.
Geopolitical shocks and then de-escalation or that there has been a ceasefire, but that had noise that's been going on today because we don't have an end.
Okay, No more sad because I'm shaking my hand, moving my head, shaking my hand, moving my head. Because of war, because of what's going on around the world, we're not very happy. Everything's going up. Everything's going to go up, not down. It's going to go up. Inflation, food up, put the food up, put the petrol up, put the rent up, put everything up. It's not enough. It's not enough for everybody to live with. What can we say? We don't know what to say. We don't know what to say. It's very mixed feelings of how our lifestyle or conclusion of things. We're paying $2 a litre of petrol here, almost $2. Yeah, it's gonna be higher, $2.20 soon. $2.20. Yeah, everything's gonna be higher. I saw a packet of biscuits the other day, the nice ones, the Team 10, the triple shock one, free, $7 a packet. Bananas and everything going up. Everything. I'm beautiful. I'm beautiful. I'm beautiful. Oh, I'm gonna go now. Pam param param pam pam. Pam param param pam. Oh eh, oh eh, oh oh eh, oh eh, oh eh. Oh eh, oh oh eh, oh oh eh, oh eh, oh eh, eh, oh eh, oh eh, oh eh. Eh, oh eh, oh eh, oh eh. Da 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 da. Eh, oh eh, oh eh, oh eh. Eh, oh eh, oh eh, oh eh. Da 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 da. Woo woo. I'm happy. Okay. I want to say goodbye, adios, amigos. The future. Trump has to conclude if Israel is happy with everything. We gotta look into that about Israel. What are they saying for the future, Israel? Thank you. I love you. Bye.